Come on. Thank you. All right, y'all. Although the clock said 2 seconds, we're on. So here we go. Let that be a lesson. Always be ready. Be prepared. I've heard that somewhere. Um, Glad everybody's here after such a wonderful long day yesterday, but it was a good day. Good, beautiful day here with the Brunswick Stew Barbecue Fall Festival, um, all the other things going on thing. Interesting, fun passage today for us from Luke. We'll talk about this some too as the day as we unfold here. Luke 17. Let's see, where is it? 11 through 19. Sorry. Because of schedules. Me going away for some continuing ed this week and other people in the office being out throughout the week, we had to put all the bulletins together for October this week just to make sure we had them all. Well, that is the deal, is keeping them not confused. I mean, so I'm sitting there going, okay, what week am I working on now? And so I have this calendar out here. I have the lectionary passages here on this screen. I've got like 3 screens up going, okay, got to keep them all straight here. What week were we in? This is the right one for this week. Luke 17, 11 through 19. Again, just kind of listen for the part about this passage that we go, yeah, this part is familiar. What kind of jumps out to us? And think about all those questions that we kind of always like to ask, but might not ever do so. But here we go. 11 through 19. On the way to Jerusalem, Jesus was going through the region between Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered a village, 10 lepers approached him, keeping their distance. They called out, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." And when he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourselves to the priest." And as they went, they were made clean. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back. Praising God with a loud voice, he prostrated himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus asked, "Were not 10 made clean? But the other 9, where are they? Was none of them found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" And then he said to him, "Get up and go on your way. Your faith has made you well." Familiar? Somewhat, maybe, kind of, okay. Sounds like the real world. And we'll say more about that. Okay, no gratitude. Okay, gotcha. Well, one did. I mean, one out of 10. Yeah, it's pretty good. Oh well, let's talk about that in just a second. So that's one question we got to talk about. So what happens at that point? Great conversation. Anything else jump out earlier along the way? Yeah. The Samaritan part. The Samaritan, yeah. Well, okay. Y'all are jumping all over the end of the story. So we might have to go to the end of the story first today. Yeah. So you got 10, and what's this deal with Samaritan? What's Luke got with Samaritans, right? Absolutely. Because isn't there a parable? What do we call that one? The Good Samaritan. Yeah. Which in their day there was no such thing as a Good Samaritan. It's just oxymoron, Go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Israel is. No, they were under Roman rule at this point, so there's still Jerusalem and right. Oh yeah, the southern kingdom, right? Oh yeah, the other part. So yeah, and you have Samaria or the Samaritans, which are very much disliked by. Mm. That's a great question. I don't know that I have a perfect answer for that question. I just know that they don't like each other, and they don't see eye to eye on how they worship or how they live and the like. Yeah, and they still don't care for each other a whole lot, right? But a great point that of the 10, Jesus points out to his listeners, hey, the Samaritan, and it's the Samaritan that comes back? Jeez, are you kidding me? Of all the... what's it? So, but in the eyes of the people who would have been listening to Jesus in that day, the Samaritan would have been, no, wrong answer. Not that guy. Not that guy. Anybody else but him. How would it be him? Right. But their point would be that you don't expect that from them. You know, it's like when we have our preconceived notions of people, and then they go and blow those up, and you're just like, I wish you would you please fit into my stereotype of you and keep you in the box that I have put you in, because it makes my life simpler. Yeah, and that, first of all, that the parable of the Good Samaritan that's a big piece of that story, is the neighbor. For the people who are hearing that story, you have the priest and the Levite, and they go to the other side of the road for the guy who's been beaten up, and the Samaritan's the one who takes the risk of helping them, and you're like, no. The Samaritan cannot be the winner in this story. Not when you got a priest and a Levite. Wrong. That can't be. And so they're sitting there going, oh my gosh, you've just thrown off our whole notion of who this is. One more time, Luke goes back to that, because Luke is the only person that uses both of the Good Samaritans in Luke. This story is in Luke, nowhere else. So what do you? What? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's still people who feel that way. But right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. So good. I'm glad. Keep that in mind when we get to the sermon. But ultimately, and in the way of telling the parable. Now, this is a story that plays out in reality. The parable is Jesus telling a story. Really, kind of, he is poking at the people he's telling the story to. He's trying to get them on edge. You know, that is what parables do. Make our reality a little unstable. Oh, you know, what? Of course, the shepherd leaves 99 in the wilderness to go after the one, and they're all going, no, whoa, that's bad. That's bad economics. And yeah, unless you're the one, right? Point taken. And in this story, Jesus is one more time pointing out, or Luke is using this story to point out one more time that here's the Samaritan coming through, and the others, hey, where are they? The Samaritan's the one that comes back? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Really? And that's kind of the emphasis at that point of why Jesus is dealing with this one person. And it's like, you're the only one. Where are the rest of them? Weren't there 10? I just saw 10. Now I see one. What's up with that? Okay, now we'll go to Phil's story, or this other part now, and I'll jump back to the beginning in a little bit. So what does happen here? It says, Jesus says, hey, you go on your way, you've been made well. But he had already healed the others too, right? He told them, the deal is you have to, leprosy, we think of it only in the terms of the pictures that we've seen, where people losing it and like. It's basic. It was all kind of different skin diseases. More importantly, though, it was this alienation from community. When you're deemed a leper, you're out. You can't. And notice it's here. The 10 lepers approach him, keeping their distance. They had to keep their distance. One of them, typically, if they ran around together, they had to carry a bell or whatever to keep, hey, stay away from us, stay away, we're unclean. We're outside the norms of culture. We don't get to be with our family. We don't get to be with our friends. We don't get to be with anybody. We're out here away from the community until we're deemed clean by the priest, notice, not a doctor. It's just like, you got to go. You don't go to your medical doctor for this. You got to go see, Neil. Let me think. Well, these lepers were just outside of the culture. Once you're persona non grata. Yeah, you're out there. Yeah, that is a good question. I mean, now that part, I've never done a kind of a leper colony study or anything like that. I mean, no, seriously. I'm sure I've got friends out there who have gone, half of my dissertation was on that. So we all pick weird stuff to focus on. So, but yeah, the notion of being the leper is you are not a part of the culture, and being a person in community is all that matters in that culture. Okay. It could be, yeah. In this case, there are, Mark chapter 1, one leper comes up to Jesus, and then in that one he irritates him so much. Well, the English translation says he has pity on him, and it's in the Greek, a better translation is, he made him mad. So yeah. Right, go present yourself. Yeah, I guess so. I got to go study on that part. Yeah, he told him. Yeah, he's going to make him clean, yeah. And it's an interesting, now you're adding new things here that I got to think about. Wow. See, now y'all are messing up my thing now. I'll be thinking about that through the whole sermon today. Oh. No, I'll have to go look that part up later now, because that was, once you're, I'm focusing more on the inner, no, that's a great question. Those are really good things to think about. Okay, so how does this play out with the Samaritan and with them butting heads against each other right there? So that's a good question. I'll have to think about that, or go do some reading on it, actually, because my thinking ain't going to help me much. I have to go read on it. No, that's a good question. Excellent stuff. But so here we are, and Jesus, did I get, oh. Wow, that was like amazing. Thank you. I know, yeah. Almost sounded, yeah, more money. Thank you. Okay, but you have this place here where Jesus is interacting and with these folks. He's proclaimed them clean, and then one comes back, and then he says, "Go, and your faith has made you well." Probably another better translation there. You've been delivered. You've been made whole. You've been, can we say in the Bible Belt South, you've been saved. Oh, yeah, that's another great point. Y'all are hitting all over these really good things that I didn't think about at all this week. You're right. Which is, I'm in a whole different point in this passage today. Y'all haven't gotten anywhere near what I'm talking about today. Well, I don't know that. No. My job is not to tell you what to think. It's just to think. Y'all got to think. Oh geez, where were we? Y'all got me really going today. What was the last thing y'all said with the part? Yeah, he didn't tell him not to tell. That's this point. These folks, the focus of Mark would be, now I've healed you. Shh, don't go tell anybody. Y'all be quiet. Luke says like, nah, man, I don't care who you tell. You go tell everybody. Go tell all these Gentiles, right? So that's a great way to go. And remember, if the audience that, not the audience that Jesus was speaking to, but the audience that Luke was speaking to, which are two different audiences, really, when you keep that in your head, that he's speaking to Gentiles. So the Gentiles are loving this story because they're going, oh, the Samaritan, the guy, yeah, woohoo, this is good. Jesus is there for us too. Okay? Okay, so now here's the question back to, so were the other 9 healed still? Yeah. All right, great. So they get this. They get a healing. They get to come back to the community. But this one hated guy, the one that nobody, the Samaritan that people don't like, he gets full salvation like all the others would have been, because they're already a part of they're the Jewish folks anyway. So it's like, so you're talking, Jesus really poking the bear now. Or Luke, whichever one you want to say. But not only does he get the leprosy part taken care of, he gets full status of salvation. And they're like, ooh. So you got to really think the people listening to Jesus at that point are going, oh man, can you believe this? God, like not them. Yeah, all these other. Oh my gosh, now what? Well, Luke is talking to the Gentiles, right? Yeah. 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 Right. That's good news. The outsiders feeling pretty good. Now, dealing with the people that Jesus would be talking to in this point, the insiders, how they feel. Yeah, they do. A couple of more chapters later, they do. Yeah, they do. So, right. Yeah. Now, hold on, y'all, because you're about to walk us into a really tight spot here. Okay. So. What time am I? Oh, I still got some time. Yeah, you're right. I got 2 seconds extra today. Well, let's go back to the first part before we do the punchline on that part. Keep that part in mind, okay? Yeah, Jesus just pronounced salvation, wholeness, healing, wholeness, everything for the Samaritan. And what does that mean when we turn the page to what this does to us? For us. It's good news and it's uncomfortable news, okay, when we get there. Okay, in the beginning, on his way to Jerusalem, I'm more in this part today because I like this. Because I've never thought about this before. Because all of us kind of pick ways of study, and I kind of pick narrative language. Like, why is this word used here? Why is this pair? Why did they say things like this? I've never really paid attention to geography and the like, and some of my friends tell me that's a short part on the way I do things, which is totally fair. But on the way to Jerusalem, Jesus. So we know he's going to Jerusalem, right? At this point, why is he going to Jerusalem? Why do we know? What happens at the end of this book? He's going to be crucified. So we know he's headed to Jerusalem. This is the last time he's going to Jerusalem. We're in chapter 17, and it's not too much longer. He gets to he's in Jerusalem for the last time. Okay, so on his way to Jerusalem. So we know he's doing his earthly ministry, but we also know where he's headed. So I mean, they don't know that, but we know that because we've read the story a couple times. We've seen the ending, and so we know he's on his. So when we read that, we know, oh, Jesus is still on his way to the cross. Okay, always keep that in your head. And that's an important part for us never to leave out after transfiguration. After transfiguration, it says that's where Luke said he's got his sights set on Jerusalem. He's headed to the cross from transfiguration on. Okay. Important part. Now, this is the interesting part for me this week. Jesus was going through the region between Samaria and Galilee, and he entered a village, and 10 lepers approached him. So it reads the region between Samaria and Galilee. Well, I don't know much about geography because I just don't. Again, that's just not my gig. But in reading it from other people this week, about 10 different sources point out there is no region between Samaria and Galilee. There's just a border. There's just a border. So, there is no space there. It's just right there, right here. So Jesus is on the border. And I'll talk about that more during the sermon, okay? It's much more a play in my head than it is anything else. But I just think that's a real interesting description of why Luke uses that, or why the English translation picks that, to say it that way. Well, no, I can't answer that question because, borders do tend to change. Come on, let's face it, borders for most of us are imaginary lines, right? They're not even real. Yeah. I don't think that I'm not necessarily sure that the lines are always the same. I think, for the most part, people just squaring off over really ownership and power much more. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, there is no region between the two. Well, I think what they're saying, there is Galilee and Samaria are up against each other. So I just find that interesting. Or at least this year it's interesting. In 3 years, I don't know. I'll let you know in 3 years. What'll pop up as important. So, but to me, I just love that the imagery of Jesus is here, and then he's kind of walking across a border, and I don't know, we seem to have a lot of dividing lines, in our lives. So we'll talk about that later. Now, back to this other part. What does it mean to us? What does this story say for us now? If we're going to turn the page and go, okay, Jesus is talking to people who would want to be around him. Luke's using this story to kind of point at Gentiles, to say, hey, you're a part, Oh, you see this differently. Phil sees this differently. Okay, very good. Well, and you know what? It's interesting that you say. That's it's good. That's why you have to talk about Scripture. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh, is that the next passage? Mm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So, what does that say for us today? We're all equal. Huh. Are we sure that's what we want to say? Yeah. 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 Okay. Okay. We have. Okay. Okay. So now here, I guess the question is that for us, when we look at it as people who are outside of Jewish tradition, that we're invited in through Jesus, the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, expands what we call the Old Testament and New. I don't like that language anymore. I used to. I think it's still the same covenant. God is still offering reconciliation. It's just the parameters have been widened through Jesus. Okay, and so that part's good. We go, that's good. We like that. And then, but now, what's it also say to us? Because how do we see our borders, our insiders, outsiders kind of language that we can be about if we're not careful as a church, as a congregation? Is that a good question, Miss Educator Form? Yeah, it is just right. Well, thank you for saying that was that, because that's exactly the question that I want to ask. Because let's face it, we come to this building, we see ourselves as insiders. Oh, okay. Okay, say more about that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's good. Okay, that's cool. That is fair. Totally fair, because I feel like that a long time. I'm trying to figure it out too. But we do tend to want to have insiders and outsiders too. People that we might think aren't worthy. Is that a great word? It's not a great word, but of being in the position of being offered healing. Maybe? Is that fair? Not fair? Okay. So we're willing for God's grace, God's mercy to be there for everyone.
I think we struggle with how are we supposed to be a part of that.
Okay.
And yes, sometimes we put up this invisible, this
Border, right? Yeah. Yeah.
even when we don't want to
Yeah.
necessarily,
Right.
intellectually.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. So how do we live this out as a congregation? How do we live this passage out? Or how does it impact how we live?
You have to live out of, everybody's saved.
Mm.
Everybody has the
Yes.
opportunity
What was it? Calvin said, you got to treat everybody like they're the elect. I don't get to say. We treat everybody like they are. Wow. Yeah, some days it's easy to do something. You're right. Okay. Right. Yes. Right. Yeah. Right. That is a struggle. Okay. Also, I think too, there's a simple thing here too that the Samaritan leper gives to us, is that, it probably doesn't hurt to be grateful every once in a while. I mean, I don't want to miss the obvious. I don't really talk about the obvious today in the sermon. Just thought I'd throw that out. But that I think that there is a part of this too, that there is a sense of gratitude that we can sometimes miss in our lives. There's also this recognition of this healing and wholeness being offered to a lot of different people that sometimes we may resist, that we have to be careful about too, in and of ourselves. Well, they, and we always want to talk about they, us and them, and Jesus, I think in this passage in Luke 2, are trying to point out that maybe the borders aren't as defined as we want them to be. And that's what makes us somewhat, or it makes me uncomfortable, okay? Because I am kind of person. I mean,
Okay, so you
No, well, I just, no, no, no. Oh, ew. That sounds really, no, no, I get, no, I just, no, no, I just, no, I just like, no. It's just, I know, it's like, wow, that came across. Well, I mean, and that's, and ultimately, too, in this way, as from where I stand, and when I write sermons, because our world is so divided in ways like that. It's starting to take me a little longer to get things done that shouldn't in all these years later, because I'm really working on language that I don't go, ooh, geez, that seems a little, dun, dun. And then in this passage, Jesus is out in the middle. That's really where he's at. And I kind of like that. I kind of love the fact that he is out in the middle of things, because he's in this region that really isn't a region. He's on this border between the two places, and I think he hangs out there a lot more. But I guess what I want, I really do want people to live into my preconceived notions of who they are, and I would much rather people be, oh, well, I've already pegged you this way, so you just stay right there. Please don't move, because if you do, then I have to go out and rethink stuff. And, well, that's disconcerting. But,
Times when you met someone that your first impression was this.
mm-hmm.
And then after you had an opportunity to get to know them, you're going, how could I have been so wrong?
Yeah.
Painting you
Yeah.
in that corner.
Um,
I mean, that's
85% of the time.
beautiful to get to know people.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I'm wrong a lot. Yeah, yeah, I'm wrong a lot. I mean, But also, too, I mean, you can't be right and wrong all at the same time. I mean, it's what it's my favorite story of all time is oh, I'm over, y'all. He was this terrible inner city guy in Durham, terrible human being, drug dealer, and was just an awful person. But when it came to when the young ladies in his community would get pregnant, he wouldn't sell to them. He would protect them, and he would keep them away from all that stuff because of who they were. Now he ended up finally going to prison for murder, because it was brutal. But it was like there was this one place in his life where he did this really protective, wonderful thing, and it was just like, why don't, it was frustrating for me in a lot of ways, because I was like, I really want to like you for this, but there's all this other stuff that was just really awful about him. But there was this really wonderful part of him too that other people would have just bowled right over, because they were like, we don't care about that stuff. So people, well, let's pray. Gracious God, we give thanks for texts that do challenge us, but also remind us that your healing, your wholeness, your offering of faith is there for us all, even the Samaritan. May we learn to be like him and be a little more grateful each and every day for your grace and your mercy.